Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Andy Freeman from Ohio Tree MD, and today I've got Zack Shier from Joseph Tree Service. Hey, Zach. I did it again. Hey, Zach. How you doing?
How's it going, Andy? Good to be here.
Thanks for coming to Soil Talk here. And we do want to talk a little bit about today, not only soil, but just your background with Joseph Tree Service. And just tell us, the audience, a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, my name's Zack Shier. I'm born and raised in Ohio. Did a little stint in the U.S. Army after high school, and then after that, I needed a job. So I had a couple different random jobs, and then a friend said, "Hey, this local tree care company, they're firefighters, and they're looking to hire a full-time person." And I, cut firewood as a kid with chainsaws, so I thought I knew what I was doing. So I thought it'd be a good, job for a year or two just to get on my feet. And lo and behold, 11 years later, I'm still here. So we've grown exponentially since then. I was the second full-time person ever hired. It was just a bunch of firefighters. So the owners are still Columbus firefighters, a captain and a lieutenant. They work every third day here, trying to help out the best they can. So we're a full-service tree care company in Dublin, Ohio. So we do pruning, removals. We do some planting on commercials, not across the board, but some. And then obviously I built and run our plant health care. So we do pretty much everything you could think of with that, short of keeping geese off ponds. I don't consider that plant health care. So
yeah. Zach and I know each other from working on the board of directors together for the Ohio Chapter ISA. And we worked on some projects together. So Zach and I go back a couple years, and it's good to have him on the Soil Talk webcast. You mentioned about PHC. What does PHC stand for our audience that may not know that?
Yeah, so plant healthcare is what PHC stands for. Obviously, in our world, we're really mainly dealing with trees or at most woody plants. But, and for those who don't know, a woody plant is any wooden perennial structure, living structure that persists over winter above ground. So, all your bushes and shrubs are technically considered woody plants, but things like flowers or non-perennial herbaceous flowers are not considered woody plants. So either way, but plant healthcare, that is the science of improving or maintaining or attempting to help plant health in any way. In our industry, at least, it's pretty much notably separated from things like pruning and removal, even though there are some prunings that would fall under plant health care.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you, as a plant health care expert, and I'm going to call you an expert.
Cool. Thanks.
You deal with a lot in the soil as well. One of the taglines I use here with Ohio Tree MD and this webcast is "What's in your soil?" And we see, well, tell the audience what you see in the soil on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's probably easier to tell you what I don't see in the soil, right? No, we obviously, tree health and plant health in general starts with the soil. You can't really talk about maintaining or improving tree health without talking about the soil. And in the urban and suburban areas, we have the unique experience of heavily degraded and developed and sometimes destroyed soils. So we have a little bit of an unnatural, unique situation where our soils are highly variable and range from decent fertility to absolutely abysmal and fully degraded, compacted, sometimes not exhibiting any plant life because of how bad they are. So really my job as a plant healthcare expert, thank you, Andy, starts really in the soil, right? It's let's say 50-50. We need to know what's going on in the soil as well as the tree that is in that soil to truth. So,
yeah. Major subject, especially post TCIA. What is TCIA again? For our audience that does not know that.
Yeah. TCIA is the Tree Care Industry Association. They are a U.S.-based kind of national third-party operation that helps guide and influence and improve the tree care industry. Like I said, there's no federal or governmental regulation federally. So we rely on kind of two third-party corporations mainly. That would be the ISA, the International Society of Arboriculture, and the TCIA, the Tree Care Industry Association, of which they have a big, huge expo every year that we've both been to. But they have everything from safety booklets to CEU credits for safety and checkoffs to helping work on like plant healthcare technician booklets or training booklets. So yeah, a bunch of different stuff. Friday of the expo, I presented on modern tree nutrition products. So kind of a fancy buzzword there. I'm not a big fan of the word fertilization anymore. So my vote via my presentation was to label them tree nutrition products, which means anything and everything that can improve nutrition or tree health in some way or another. So, yeah, I mean, we don't have time to talk about it all, but A to Z, understanding the soil and the relationship between soils and trees, understanding testing, understanding different styles of products, how those interrelate and how we can change, and obviously what's wrong with a lot of our soils and why trees suffer from it. So that was awesome. And then Friday, the tree nutrition products, I just feel like our industry as a whole is sometimes confused by how many new products are out there, and they're all can be labeled differently, and they're not all fertilizers, and some of them are more than just fertilizers. So I really liked the idea of trying to wade through the muck, if you will, of that confusing realm of products and bring some light to the topics.
I really enjoyed just some of the new terms I had never heard before. Much of it I have heard, but you put a different spin on it to get us into kind of that world of soil, and what's beneath the surface. I really respected that and learned a lot through that process. You're a great speaker, by the way.
Thank you.
Just wanted to let you know that. I know that you're also on the kind of the research committee of the Ohio Chapter ISA, as well as the new tree planting, and then some other committees as well. Tell us a little bit about, why is research so important to you, especially when it comes to plant healthcare?
Yeah, well, I mean, plant healthcare it's a difficult topic to study and understand exactly what's happening. Obviously, when you're talking about making impacts to the entire tree physiological system, you're talking about a very complex and variable system, right? So it's in the same avenue of dietetics or nutrition or exercise. There's things you can do to a tree that have such a large impact, but without research and science, we can't understand exactly how those happen. If you prune a tree and you take photos, you can kind of see how the structure changes because it's such a physical outcome. But if someone said, okay, I see the structure change, but what happened hormonally? Well, no arborist can say that because you don't know. It's internal, it's invisible. And so that's where science and laboratory and university-based research can really show us what's going on. And so, we do need to rely a lot on research for certain things. And while I'm not a fan of relying only on academic research, I wanted to start the research committee to try to bridge the gap between peer-reviewed academia and practical arboriculture. And, in that gap lies our research committee and white papers and fact sheets and good anecdotal field trials and good controlled field trials. They may not be peer-reviewed across a 3-year span, but they can still be good science, or at least as good as we can afford to be, because research is expensive. So that research committee, we wanted to make research more available. We wanted to bring in people that could get us better research, like researchers. We have a couple awesome, stellar PhD-based researchers on our research committee, and they have been really helpful to, help bridge that gap as well. So it's really important that we look at modern research and old research and come to better conclusions so we can do our job better. So.
Yeah. Speaking of research, we're working currently on a project between Ohio Tree MD, Joseph Tree Service, and O Soil Life. And it's a project up in Dublin at a condominium community. Do you want to touch base on that a little bit? Tell our audience what we've done so far through the summer, through the fall.
Yeah, absolutely. Super awesome opportunity. You can have a microbial product that works well on wheat products in India, but it may do absolutely nothing on trees in Ohio. And so
Right.
to have that distinction when you talk about living biology, like living bacteria or fungi. So we came up with a field trial. Obviously, I'm not one to just take a product and say, this looks fancy schmancy, and you've got a little research, and now I'm just going to incorporate it entirely. So I wanted to come up with some kind of field trial. And we have the great opportunity to manage some condo facilities that have a large number of trees. So we're doing this cool field trial where we're taking 10 pin oak, 10 red maple in a urban tree setting. Some of these are sidewalk trees, some of these are park trees, some of these are regular other street tree style trees, and we have 10 controlled and 10 treated, so it is a fully controlled sample with a decent in value. In value would be your total number of trees, so 10 and 10 is not too bad. I think that's pretty good. And we're taking pre-treatment analyses, post-treatment analyses. We're treating with O Soil Life, the microbial product that they have. So yeah, it's a phenomenal opportunity to work with a company like that as well, and yourself, and have the opportunity to be able to do some good controlled in our world, not potted plants in a lab, but real street trees in real urban soil.
Yeah, when we tell our audience too, urban soils are compaction, low nutrient count or low organic matter, very degraded soils. We don't know how they've been treated before, if they've ever been treated. Especially with the maples, we got girdling roots, and girdling roots are roots that grow around the trunk at the base, just probably because of too much mulch or too much organic matter up around the trunk of the tree, or they were planted too high. There's a number of things we could get into on that. We also did some foliar tests along with soil tests and stuff too to get a sap analysis and kind of a foliar analysis of before they drop their leaves this fall. And tell us a little bit more about kind of like the microbial activity in the soil that we tested, as well as the nutrient count and maybe the foliar tests that we saw back.
Yeah, and this is where, working with multiple groups is helpful, because that way nobody, no one group has to take the full brunt of the cost or the manpower. But yeah, we were able to do some really cool testing. We're doing dry foliar analysis, that is the leaves, they dry them out and they test them for a nutrient makeup. We're actually doing sap analysis as well, which is pretty cool, which is a little bit redundant with dry foliar, but it does give you a little bit different picture at a different time frame, and it's based off of the sap out of the petioles of the leaves. And so that's kind of a cool thing, and you get to see it from both angles. We're actually doing a full sugar panel. So I believe it's a sucrose, glucose, and the Brix percentage as well, which is pretty cool. I think there might be another one in there. I can't remember. Either way, a full sugar panel, which is really awesome because you can see how much more or less food your tree is producing that is in the leaves, and you can see how quickly that sugar is leaving the leaves in the fall, or how quickly it comes on in the spring, which is important to understand. And then from the soil aspect, we're doing a full nutrient analysis, carbon, nitrates, soil respiration, which is kind of a general vague test of the microbial. So full nutrient, pH, CEC, organic matter, nitrates, carbon, soil respiration. So you get kind of a full soil health picture of what's going on, and then you can see those changes. So yeah, pretty cool stuff.
We're hoping with the study that we do and that we're doing with O Soil Life and Joseph Tree Service and Ohio Tree MD, that the water holding capacity of these trees increases, with the microbial activity that's happening in the soil. So this is a multiple year study. It's not just one and done and 45 days and we're out. We really want to see the long-term effects that these microbes and these cultural practices have on our common red maples and common pin oaks that we have here in the Midwest. Well, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate that so much.
Of course.
You're a wealth of knowledge, and I want to continue to have these series with you because I love talking to you, Zach. You make it fun. You make these webcasts fun, and so thanks for joining us here on Soil Talk. Any closing remark?
Well, there's always some kind of closing remark, right? Everyone out there, keep keep getting involved, continue to progress forward and grow, and get involved with your local Ohio chapter ISA if you can. There's a lot of awesome things on there. If anyone's listening to this and they want to join one of the committees, you do not have to be a director on the board to be on the committee. So you can join different committees like our research committee or our tree planting committee or anything like that. Just keep being open-minded. Don't fall back into the old ways.
There you go. That's good advice.
Yeah. And appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks, Zach. And we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks, bye.